Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the MonkeyBoy Presents the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, and today we have issue 15 for you, Captain Marvel. Yes, that's right, his name is Captain Marvel. It is not Shazam, contrary to popular belief, and I wanted to do something that I haven't done with any of the other characters because it really hasn't been necessary yet, but I wanted to give a really brief history lesson on Captain Marvel here. He was not created by DC Comics. He was created at a rival publisher called Fawcett Comics, and he appeared in a title called Wiz Comics. He was competition for Superman. He was Fawcett Comics' answer to Superman at DC. He actually even outsold Superman for a good long while. Eventually, though, Fawcett Comics ran into some financial difficulties. They got sued by DC Comics for copyright infringement, DC claiming that Captain Marvel was too much like Superman. Long story short, Fawcett Comics closed their doors, and DC bought their entire library of characters and tucked Captain Marvel away in a corner and ignored him. 20 years later, in the 1970s, they decide they want to bring the character back, and they find that in the interim, DC had accidentally, apparently, let the copyright on the name Captain Marvel lapse, and Marvel Comics swooped in and purchased it. So, from that point on, since the 70s on, DC cannot put Captain Marvel on the outside, on the cover of any magazine, comic book, nothing. T-shirts, no merchandise whatsoever can say Captain Marvel and have the picture of this particular Captain Marvel, the real Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel. They have to name him Shazam, which is actually the word he says to transform into Captain Marvel from his human alter ego of Billy Batson. Anyway, thank you for bearing with me in that very long-winded, brief history of the character. Really, let's get to this. We're going to do the magazine first, covering everything you need to know about the character, and this will be, of course, when his origin was retold in DC Comics. So this will not be the Fawcett Comics one necessarily, although it's basically the same. They really didn't change anything because it is a really great origin. And then we will look at the figure, giving you the good, the bad, the ugly. It's one of my favorite characters, honestly. It's a really nice little figurine. I hope you guys enjoy this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, issue number 15, Captain Marvel. First up, the character section, where we learn about Captain Marvel's origins. We learn about Billy's parents, who were archaeologists, who were on an archaeological dig in Egypt looking for a jewel that supposedly contained the spirit of an Egyptian champion known as Black Adam, and how his parents were betrayed and murdered by their assistant who they hired, a guy named Theo Adam. After his parents were murdered, we find Billy and his sister Mary, his older sister Mary, being split up and put into separate foster homes. Billy gets stuck with his uncle Ebenezer, who drained Billy's trust fund completely and then kicked him out on the street. But Billy never stopped being a good kid. He never stopped looking for the silver lining on every cloud, and one day he befriended this bum who took him into the subway, and all of a sudden this weird-looking train pulls up in front of them, and the old man tells him to get on. So now Billy, every time he says the word Shazam, is transformed into Captain Marvel, and he's basically like his hero Superman. He can fly, he's super strong, he's nearly indestructible, among many other things. And he decides to put his powers to good use and track down his parents' killer, Theo Adam. And he tracks him down and finds that he's been using this jeweled necklace that they were looking for to transform himself into this Black Adam character. The next couple pages talk about the different friendships that Billy has formed over the years, most notably with Superman, who became a close friend and ally as well as a mentor to Billy. We also learn that Billy eventually tracked down his long-lost older sister, Mary, and bestowed some of his power onto her, as well as his best friend, Freddie Freeman, and the three formed the Marvel family: Captain Marvel, Mary Marvel, and Captain Marvel Jr. We also learn that he's one of the few heroes in the DC Universe to serve on both the Justice League of America and the Justice Society of America. It also talks briefly about a time when Captain Marvel accidentally traveled back in time and found himself working alongside Black Adam when he was still a hero known as Teth Adam. The last couple pages bring us up to speed with where Captain Marvel was, at least at the time of this publishing, when another crisis was threatening the DC Universe, and the Rock of Eternity and the Wizard Shazam found themselves under attack from the Spectre. Unfortunately, Billy and the Shadow Pact just weren't enough to stop the Spectre, and he defeated them both and went on to kill the Wizard Shazam and nearly destroy the Rock of Eternity. After the dust had settled, the Shadow Pact returned to help Captain Marvel rebuild the Rock of Eternity, and now Captain Marvel serves as its guardian and protector. Next up, we take a look at some of Captain Marvel's classic storylines. First up, we have The Power of Shazam. And this is the retelling of his origin story, updated for a modern-day audience, and it's really, really well done. It's a great story, it's beautifully illustrated, and it was the genesis for what would become a new ongoing monthly series for the character at the time. Next, we have Day of Vengeance. And this is the story that finds the Spectre declaring war on magic in the DC Universe. The Wizard Shazam and Captain Marvel, of course, fight back. And this was an interesting story because it took Captain Marvel from being just a regular hero, and it sees him evolving and taking over for the Wizard Shazam as the keeper of the Rock of Eternity. And finally, we have Superman Shazam First Thunder. And this is one of my all-time favorite comics, honestly. I own it, I love it. It's so gorgeous to look at. The artwork is fantastic, and Judd Winnick is one of my favorite writers in the business. It's just a great, fun story of the first time Superman meets Captain Marvel and learns of the secret that he's really just this boy in a man's body. It's really, really fun. Definitely worth checking out. Next up are Captain Marvel's allies and enemies, and on the first page we have a nice little shot of the Wizard Shazam there. And the following pages are a nice little mix of the ally and enemy. I especially like the picture of Black Adam there. Captain Marvel's iconography section focuses on his extended family. We get a better look at Freddie Freeman, aka Captain Marvel Jr. We also meet Talkie Tawny, who is actually Mary's stuffed toy tiger given life by the Wizard Shazam. We also meet Billy's Uncle Dudley, who really wasn't his uncle at all. He was just this kindly old guy who was the janitor at his school and was a huge super fan of Captain Marvel. We get a quick look at Thunder, who is actually an alternate universe version of Captain Marvel, who served with the Legion of Superheroes. And finally, we get to see Billy's big sister, Mary Marvel. And finally, the original thinking section covers Part 6 of the DC timeline, Great Cataclysms. We learned that 100,000 years ago, Krypton had found itself in a sort of civil war. We also meet a caveman who was exposed to some sort of cosmic radiation 45,000 years ago, and it imbued him with super intelligence and apparent immortality. And that man would go on to become one of the DC Universe's greatest villains, calling himself Vandal Savage. Also talks very briefly about a group who were sort of like a Justice League that existed 44,000 years ago that called themselves the Society of the Brotherhood of Light. Finally, it talks about the fall of Atlantis and how their greatest wizard tried to save as many people as he could before the inevitable fall. It also talks about how he managed to establish a place called Gem World that would become a sanctuary for Earth's magical denizens. Alright, Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, I guess. I really like this figure, actually. He's, again, kind of basic when you compare him to some of the other characters like Scarecrow and everything, but that being said, I think they were going for a more Golden Age kind of look with this one. You know, he's got the big cheesy smile on his face, and I like that the suit isn't really clinging to him. You can see there's like little wrinkles and things on it here and there, because it's not spandex. It was never supposed to be a spandex. It's, you know, just a suit, you know, a costume of some sort. It's not like Superman's or Batman's where it's clinging to every muscle on his body. So I really like that. I like the short cape and how it's slung over the one shoulder. It's very Romanesque, very Greek, so it fits with the motif of the character, all the way down to the boots. Really cool. He's a bulky character too. I think they were really going for that Golden Age look, like I said. The Shazam lightning bolt there is painted on. It's not a decal. Even the little button there on the vest part of the costume is right. It's great. The details are really nice, and I love his face too. He's got that cheesy grin that I love. So, classic character, really cool. I'll have some really cool pictures here for you in just a second. The Captain stands above the DC logo, and on the flip side of the base is his name along with his serial number. And for the fun of it, we have a quick shot of him along with his mentor and friend, Superman. I really like this figure, I really do. I like the character, maybe that's why I'm kind of partial to it, because he is really such a great character. I love all the little details on the figure. You know, he's very simple looking, but when you really start to analyze him, there's a lot of nice little details. The wrinkling in the suit, the seams down the front of his boots, which is very Romanesque. The cape and the way it's sort of blowing in the wind. I love the little pattern down the edge of the cape there. That's awesome. Again, no painted, no decals. Everything's painted on. It's really nice, you know, just the cool little things. And I love his face. I love the big cheesy smile. It sums him up perfectly. The good. I love the pose. I think it's iconic. I think it's perfect for him. I love the colors that they chose for the paint. I love the cape. Really love the cape. I don't know why. I just think it's one of the best features on the figure. The bad, some minor bleeding here and there. He's a little bit big, too. He looks sort of bulky compared to the other figures in the line. I don't know what that would be attributed to. Not that he looks weird necessarily. He's just a little bit of a bulkier looking character, but that's fine. He still looks really nice on the shelf. The ugly. The only ugly that I've experienced with the figure was I almost purchased one that the cape was broken in the packaging. It had actually popped off the shoulder there, so definitely look before you buy. Otherwise, I haven't really heard of anything. Again, the face is something to check, but mine is really nice, so hopefully yours will be too. Overall, I love this figure. I think he's great. He's a classic for me. You know, he's less mainstream, but I guess that's another reason why I really like him. I hope you guys have enjoyed this review as much as I have enjoyed bringing it to you. Stay tuned after this. I've got a quick teaser for the next character in the series. We're going back to the villains, but this is a really fun one. Anyway, as always, I am your humble host, the Monkey Boy, and I thank you for watching.